Welcome back, you guys. Today we have the queen of the Perky Pony in the studio today, and we're going to be chatting all about how she got to be in this wedding industry business and how she's grown to the way that she is today. And we're super excited to have her. She's our first in-person guest, and so this is new for us, but we're really excited to have you. And I wanted to chat a little bit about how we met. So I met Kira back in 2020 when she showed up to a styled shoot that we were not quite sure who she was at the time, but she blew our socks off with how amazing of a hairstyle that she did for the model on that day. And ever since then, I've seen you everywhere. You've been at multiple weddings that we've been to together. So I'm so excited to hear all about your story today and get to know you a little bit more. And so welcome. Nice to have you.
I'm honestly so excited to be here. I was so excited when you said, would you come on our podcast? I was like, give me a microphone, I'm there. I'm really excited to be here. So my name is Kira. I operate, I own Pärla Hair, which is based in Ottawa, Canada. And my newest little business venture that nobody knows about yet is called the Bridal Hair Club. So I'm excited to share a couple behind the scenes on that. But yeah, I'm really excited to be here.
We're so excited. Yeah, we're so excited. So before Pärla Hair, or should we call you became Pärla.
My new first name.
Your new first name or middle name, maybe it needs to be changed, Tell us, how did you go from to where you are now?
So I worked in a salon. I was a stylist behind the chair. I worked from 2013 to 2016, cuts, colors. I did dabble a little bit in bridal. And I woke up one day and I was like, this can't be it. I had built a clientele, everything that you were supposed to do leading up to it. I didn't have to work to get clients. People were just so loyal. And I loved that. And that was the goal. And then I just thought, I'm too young for this. I had a quarter life crisis and I quit my job. I sold everything I owned. I booked a one-way ticket to Thailand. And I did have a working holiday visa for Australia because I knew I was going to run out of money. But yeah, I just completely left. And I was like, I need to find myself. I felt like I had never had that experience of just completely letting go, no agenda. When I came back, I realized I did not want to work in a salon anymore. I didn't want to. It just felt like such a rat race and you're working for somebody else. So I dabbled in the boutique fitness world where I managed a couple different studios. I thought that was going to be something for me. I worked at Lululemon. I didn't know where to go. But I was like, I need to make money because I was in so much debt, tens of thousands of dollars worth of debt from traveling. And I thought, oh my God, what do I do? So to be honest, I started Pärla Hair as a way to make money. And that's 100% what it was. I thought, what can I do that, I have control over, that I can hustle for my own money, that I don't need a studio space for. I can do it all on my own and mobile. And I thought, bridal. I wasn't even that good, but I just thought, how hard can it be? And I didn't even have a car either. So my sister was like, so you're starting a mobile business. You're going to do bridal hair. You haven't done hair for over a year, but you're just going to get right into it. And this was February of 2018. And I was like, I can start, this wedding season. I'm probably a little late to the game, but I'm sure I can still get some clients. That was that. I just thought I'm going to figure it all out. I'll figure out a car if I need to Uber. And she was like, yeah, but Kira, you don't know the, venues in Ottawa or from the east to the west. They're just so somewhere in the middle of nowhere. And she was like, this is not a good plan. But I made it work. I got 12 weddings and I was like, this is amazing. And again, it was just a way to make money. And then it just kind of blew up from there. But yeah, that's what I was doing before. And I should also say the boutique fitness world was about a year. It was from the end of 2017 to the end of 2018. So I was bopping around. The hours were so unsustainable. The pay was terrible for what I needed. I needed to really get myself out of debt. I did end up getting a full-time job, which was what I thought I wanted when I moved back from traveling. I was like, okay, I need the stability. I need Monday to Friday. I need to know every 2 weeks I'm getting paid the same amount. I need benefits. I haven't had my teeth cleaned in 2 years. I was just I needed all this stuff. So I got a job at a university in our city, admin, which I was like, I'm so excited, making photocopies, doing all this stuff. It seemed I was like, how is this an option for me? I started off on a 6-week contract, data entry, but I loved every second of it. And which is so crazy now because I'm so hands-on and anyways, plot twist, I hated it after 3 years, but I was like, this was a means to an end. And I was like, all the benefits financially from this is like what I need to buy a house, to, you know, do all the things that you need to do. And so I worked from 2018 to 2021 full-time at, I don't know if I can say the university, so I'll just say the university.
Yeah. In
July of 2021 was when we basically closed on our house in June. 2 weeks later, I gave my notice. My boyfriend was shitting bricks. I can redo that one if I can't swear.
No, you can totally swear. Yeah.
He was so nervous, but he was so supportive. And he was like, if you think that you can make this work, like, I'm 100% behind you. But when I first met him, he's bald. And so when I told him that I do hair for weddings, he thought people pay for that. He was like, had no confidence in my business whatsoever. He was like, why wouldn't people just do it themselves? And I was like, women don't know how to do their hair like that.
We don't shave our heads.
Exactly. So, but he was like, I fully trust. I have no idea like what you do all day, but I'm trusting you. So yeah. So in 2021, I took my business full time and I quit my job, and it was exciting because I thought, oh my God, finally I can let this go. But then on the other hand, now all of a sudden you are responsible for every single dollar that you make, and there's no safety net there. You have to just make it work. So
yeah, 2021 was the same year that I ended up going full time.
Oh my God, amazing.
Into the business. I had a government job before and left that so that I could do this full time. And it's definitely a different feeling when you have to hustle for everything. But the amount of time that you get back from not working Monday to Friday that you can pour into the business makes a huge difference.
100%. I don't know about you, but I felt like I had like two brains. Like I had so many tabs open for like my full-time job that I couldn't just slack off on, because I wanted to leave when I wanted to leave, not when they said you're totally checked out. I just kind of felt like once I can just fully discard this full side of my brain, the possibilities are endless, and like I can just really, like you said, pour myself into this, and that's exactly what I did.
So did you go to school for hair? Like, I'm curious how you got into hair. I know you went traveling, and that sounds like, as much as you went into debt, super cool still. Like totally a debt worthwhile.
Oh my God, 100%.
Did you go to school for that? I'm curious, like, how did you get into hair? Because I think that like most people have to go to school, right?
Yes. And I did. So I actually went to university first. I dreamed a life of myself in public policy. I don't know why I thought that leaving high school. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to really make a difference in this world, you know, social policies. And after 2 years, I thought, this is not for me, but I didn't know where else to turn. And I was like, I don't know what to do. And one day I was getting my hair done at a salon in Ottawa, and I thought, I could work here. Like, I love this environment. It's all mainly women, the music, everybody's like fashion, you know, I just love the feeling here. I had no natural talent. Nobody ever asked me, like, you know, when you grow up with friends and, oh, this person will always do your makeup because they're so good at it, and this person, nobody came to me for hair. Like, I never really did my hair. I never experimented. I never cut my own hair. I never cut friends' hair. Like, I had no natural talent. I just loved the vibe, and I thought this would be such a fun place to work. And so I graduated Carleton in 2012. Okay. I guess it would have been May. And then that September of 2012, I started hair school. And then it's a 1-year program. Actually, the school I went to no longer exists, but it was great. It was very immersive in the salon environment, and I loved it. Like, I loved all of it. But the bridal part was like 2 days, and it was... one day was like watching this video of, he's passed on now, Martin Parsons, but it was just so bad. And I thought that was it. And I was like, okay, great. Like, so basically I took that knowledge of like the 2 days. And when I was working in a salon, they're like, oh my gosh, we have a lot of bridal. I was like, I can do bridal. Like, I was so naive and delusional. And I just thought, yeah, of course, I'll just, you know, whip up. And I look back at my work from that, even when I started my business in 2018, and I'm like, woof, that is terrible.
Oh, we can all relate
so
to that.
Bad.
I can show you some shit.
Yeah. Oh my God, it's so bad. And like, I'd look at things and I'd be like, what was I thinking? Why?
But styles change too, right? Like, you have to admit.
Styles change. But I do truly think that nobody actually asked for what I gave. Like, I did my best, but it was bad. It was really bad. But yeah, to answer your question, I did go to school ×2. And then right from hair school, went right into a salon.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it was good. And then I spent 3 years in a salon before I left, yeah.
That's a similar story to me. I went to school, same thing, thought that I wanted to be a lawyer. I'm a photographer now, to give you an idea. And I also went to school. I have a degree that I obviously don't do anything with anymore. And so I totally can relate to you on this front, and I very much get you.
Yes, but you know what, like, I'm sure you feel that there's still so much you can pull from that lifetime of what you learned, and even some of the friendships that I made when I was at university, you know, those friendships will last, you know, forever. So there's always something you can get out of it. Was it worth like $30,000? Who knows? I don't know. Jury's still out on that, but yeah.
I think for us, like, anyways, our background is like administrative, and mine's sales and customer service, and those types of things have really been great for us, like transitioning into our business today. So I think, like, of course, there are those like transferable skills that will hopefully be still useful. Did we, like you said, did I need to pay $30,000? Not sure about that. 30 plus thousand.
Oh my gosh, yeah. And you know what? I was thinking the other day, I don't even know where my degree is. Like, it's somewhere. I'm sure it's somewhere, but I was thinking that, I'm like, I never have it. Like, I don't put it up anywhere. Because not that I'm not proud of it, but people coming to get their bridal hair are not going to be impressed that I have a Bachelor of Arts. So, you know, you don't need to put it anywhere. But I thought, where is that? So I do have to find it. Yeah.
All right. So we all want to know, what was the spark, I guess, like the thing that really, like, was there a moment? Well, I know that you said that you know, were kind of, you bought the house and then quit and did everything, but you'd already kind of started your business. But what was like the thing that said, okay, like, I'm going to do bridal hair, other than the money, but like, what was it about bridal hair that you were like, okay, I want to do this? Because I think you've done it very differently, right? I feel like most of the stylists that I know anyways, they do both, right? They still do the 9 to 5 cutting, coloring, etc. And then on weekends, they're doing bridal hair. So what kind of, talk to us a little bit about that.
Of course, I'd be happy to. So I think the spark for me at the beginning was the money, but to be honest, that faded so quickly. When I started doing, like, after my first wedding, or first season of doing weddings, I thought to myself, this is actually so much fun. As you guys know, when you show up on a wedding day, the energy is different. It's like, not that people, like, I shouldn't say like a dentist is the same as going to, because everybody still loves to go get their hair done, like cuts and colors and stuff, but the vibe is so different. And to be honest, the spark for me of where I was like, I just need to go full in on bridal hair was, I struggle with setting boundaries. So when I worked in a salon and somebody reached out and said, hey, I really want my highlights done, it was like, either you have a 12-hour day today or a 12-hour day tomorrow. What do you want? Like, it's not that you can say no to them and then they fall off the face of the earth and you never have to see them again. So for me, I was like, I love the fact that if I'm already booked that day, it's so easy for me to like protect my energy. I can just say no. A no is a no. They're not coming back to say, are you sure you can't squeeze me in? Like, there was just, that was it. And then you give them referrals and they're on their way. I just loved that. Even if I decided to take a day off, I felt so firm in saying, no, I'm not available. They weren't as needy. Yeah, and like, no, won't take no for an answer. When I worked in a salon, if you said, you know, sorry, I can't, my next available opening is in 2 weeks, you worried that they would go off and find somebody else. You were worried, like, you had to make so many more sacrifices for the client. And I think now it's a lot different, but back then I just thought, oh my gosh, this is the key. This is the magic part. That part I really loved. But I also just love, I don't know, it's so much more creative. The other thing too, I should say, is that you really can't screw up. Yes, you can screw up wedding hair and you look at it and you're like, oh, that I need to fix something, but it's not to the point where it's past the point of no return. If you cut somebody's hair and they don't like it, that's it. You're like, I'll see you in 2 months once it grows in. But on the day of, like, you can take something out, start over, like the margin for error is a lot smaller. And that gave me so much comfort knowing that I can't screw this up. And if I do, I take it out, I start over. Like, so we're a little bit behind on the schedule. The photographers show up, they hate me, but that's okay. Like, it's not, you know, it's not the end of the world. I can always fix it. Working in a salon, I just, cutting, oh my God, would give me so much anxiety because I just didn't want to screw it up.
Like when someone like me would come in and be like, yeah, I want to chop it all off. And you're like, go.
Yeah, I actually would start sweating. I remember the first time, one of the first few days I worked at the salon, it was a lot of cuts that I was getting. I wasn't getting a lot of colors and my hands would be shaking. And I had this gentleman come in to get his hair cut and out of nowhere, he was like, are you nervous? And I thought, oh my God, all you learn in hair school is like fake it till you make it. Never let anybody know it's your first day or first week or whatever. So I was like sweating. And I thought to myself, like, I can't say I'm nervous, but like my body is saying otherwise. So what do I say? Yeah, actually, like I was like holding the clippers and I'm like this. And out of nowhere, I was like, oh, I have a tremor. Like, I don't even know anybody with a tremor, but I was like, I just need to make up an excuse to just like let it go. And then he was like, oh, okay, I'm so sorry I even said anything. And then he was like, relaxed. But I was like, oh my God, where did that come from?
Yeah, like it got worse now.
Yeah, it got worse because now I'm like, oh my God, now
you have to fake the tremor.
Yeah, every time he comes in. But yeah, I don't know where I came up with it, but I was like, oh my God, I'm so nervous. So yeah, cutting has always made me nervous, and bridal hair for some reason never made me nervous. Like never, yeah, just never. And again, it was a touch delusional because of course you can really screw it up. And I look back and I'm like, yeah, I did screw it up. But in my mind, I was like, this is great. She likes it. I like it. Yeah. Good to go.
I can remember actually when I first met you, I don't know where you were at the time. It would have been 2020, I guess. I was looking for a new hairstylist and I remember being like, hey, I need someone to do my hair. Can you do it? And you're like, actually, I don't do that. And I was like, oh, really? Like I was so... Like, I mean, at the time I was like, I didn't understand. Now, obviously I see it, but I feel like even from then, like as much as you say you didn't set boundaries, I feel like you really have, right? Like especially if you look back at 2020 to now, you've definitely been able to set those. So kudos to you.
Oh, I never realized that. You're right. On a wedding day, we never cut hair. You don't color hair.
Sometimes I'll
really?
trim like the front.
Oh, okay.
Like I still know how, and if I needed to, I would. And like I have not clients, but some of the girls in the space I work, sometimes they'll say like, oh, can you cut my hair? And I'm like, actually, it's fun. Every once in a while, it's fun, but it's always under the understanding that like, I am not your regular hairstylist. Like, please do not come back to me in 3 months and say, hey, I want to. And actually, you know what? During the pandemic, I did go back and cut hair. And it was only, I told myself, I was like, it's not because of the money, because I was working at Carlton full time. So I didn't have to do anything. It was to help people out because at the time, a lot of people were like, I can't get in for like 6 months. Like I need a haircut desperately. And I was like, okay, I'll take it back for like, 3 months and help with the overflow. And then after that, it was fun. But I think it was only fun because I was so strict and said, this is it, like one-time deal. It's like the pumpkin spice latte only comes around once a year. Like it's not happening again. I think the best thing that I did was not try and do wedding hair full-time right from the beginning, because I think I would have felt that I needed to go back and cut and color hair to make ends meet.
You mean keeping like your full-time job?
Exactly,
Okay.
exactly. So like walking before you run, like, knowing that that's my passion and I want to keep it like that. And if I can do it, like if I can get to a point where that can be my only job, that's what I want. I think if I had quit my full-time job too soon, I would have felt like I had to go back to doing that.
Yeah, because then it feels more like a job than a passion, because you're taking on clients because you need the money.
Exactly.
And you're hustling, and then you kind of lose the excitement around it. And we found that was the same thing once we went full time. And if we had any, like we were just struggling for money, it didn't feel as fun because you're doing it for the money. And now that we're in a position where we could be a little bit more picky with our clients, and that it just feels better.
It does. It feels better, and you're excited, and you're not dreading. You look at your calendar, and you're like, "Oh my God, why did I say yes to that? I hate doing that service." And like, why did I say yes? Oh, it was for the money, and that's why your why cannot be about the money, because you will not survive.
Yeah,
Not in this industry.
No.
Yeah, the wedding industry is the same, or you would accept something and now you're booked on that day, and it was kind of a lesser client or whatever it is. Maybe you took less money for it, and then someone like an ideal client would come up to you, and then unfortunately you already booked, so you can't accept it. That happened to us so many times back in the day, and it's just it's not a good feeling when you have to turn somebody away when you're so excited, for that potential customer.
I know.
Because you decided to do something you weren't really excited about.
I know, and it's a catch-22 because you don't know if somebody better is going to come along. So you're, on one hand, you're like, oh, I'm not really excited, but like, what if that's all that's coming my way?
Exactly.
And I think that's what a lot of bridal hairstylists struggle with too, just not knowing when your next let me say paycheck is coming. So say yes to all these things that you don't really want to say yes to.
But it's sometimes hard. I feel like even in our position, like we get to see them face to face. We do a Zoom call, all of that. But like, I feel like it must be hard in your case because it's like, maybe they don't even know how many people they're going to be, right? Like they're like, oh, I'll be like 3 people. And then they're like, oh, wait, now it's going to be 8. Okay, now it's going to be 12 or whatever. You know, like I feel like with ours even too, like we don't really know what kind of wedding it's going to be because we're kind of, they book the venue, and I mean that venue could be like, you know, a $30,000 wedding or it could be a $300,000 wedding. We have no idea really at like the booking stage, right? Like without, I feel like it's also a weird position, I'm sure you feel the same, to be like, how much are you spending on your wedding? Like I never ever would ask that because it just seems like inappropriate, right? So unless it's coming from like a planner where I have an idea, I feel like that's like it's like hard to know, like you said, right?
I know. And I feel like it's difficult to, and people always say, you know, find your ideal client. For me, I'm like, it's a bride getting married who wants to pay me. Like, you know, do you fall into that category or do you not? But then as you start going, there are people that you connect with that you think, oh my God, no, I really do love working with this person. And it's always going to be a different background. It's not going to be, you know, you're not going after yoga people. They could be doing anything. And that's where, it's hard to know do you even have an ideal client? What does that look like?
And I've had some where it's like they've booked me and at the meeting, like everything was okay, but it wasn't like I got like that buddy feeling. But then like on the wedding day, we were BFFs. Like I've had it where it's like, it's almost, you know what I mean? Like they were just very, I think maybe anxious or nervous or just really want everything to go perfectly. So they were like high strung. And which is fine, right? Like I get it. It's a lot of money. It's one day. But then on the day of, it was like a total switch where I was like, oh, okay. Like, but I feel like you probably have the same thing because I know we work with the same clients a lot, is that people resonate with us and they get to know us through our like online presence. And I feel like that helps them sort of get to know us. And on the wedding day, it's just a different vibe because they have an idea of our energy and our like what we're looking for. So I'm sure you get the same thing.
Absolutely. Sure, and people will meet you and say, I feel like I already know you. And you're like, is this what it feels like to be a celebrity? Like, and it's nice, it's great, and that's what you want ultimately. You want your client to feel super comfortable with you on the wedding day, and yeah, that's definitely happened to you. And I also think on the wedding day, they've just said, Jesus, take the wheel. At that point, you know, what will be, and that's the energy I want because every single wedding day, something goes wrong, and you have to be able to roll with it. You know, you have people in your corner, you have professionals that you've hired that are also going to help you along the way and make sure that, you know, we try and minimize the situation as much as possible, but it's always going to happen.
Yeah, I feel like we need to make that a slogan, okay? Like, just so you know, something will go wrong on your wedding day.
Yes.
Let's just put it out there. Let's just get it, like,
yes,
because something's going to go wrong.
Yes, it's something, you know, it's not that all hell's going to break loose, but something will go, something will go not to plan, for sure. For sure.
Let's talk about how you've grown your business. So what are some of the things that you found were most effective? Was it kind of social media? Was it the network? How did you go from the salon and build a clientele, and how did that translate into getting some steady customers?
I'd say like the biggest thing is social media, really showing up, showing your true authentic self, because I feel like people, yes, they want to look nice on their wedding day, but they're also going to be spending time with you. Like they want to have that connection. So really showing up on social media was key for me. I really showed my face with filters, without, didn't matter, but I really wanted to show up on Instagram. But I think one of the biggest things for me was I really invested in education because I'm always the person that's striving to be better, be the best. Even though I live in Ottawa, I want to be compared to people that live in New York City, stylists in LA. Like I want to be on that same level. So I thought to myself, how am I going to get there? Looking at my styling work, I thought I need some help. And so, I invested in 2020 in an online like bridal hairstyling course. I bought a mannequin because of course it was the pandemic. I still had my full-time job, but I had a lot of time on the evenings and weekends. And I put in so much work practicing because I thought, yes, you can show up on social media. Yes, you can have the best, business plan. You can have all those things, but what are people actually booking you for? It's for your styling skills. So that's what I need to focus on first. And then everything else can kind of come together. So that was my biggest focus. And then once we could kind of travel again, I went in person and I learned from 3 different hairstylists in the States. I just had this thirst for knowledge. I wanted to be able to look at an inspiration photo that somebody would show me and think, yep, no problem. I can whip that up, lickety split. Don't even worry about it. And I got myself to a point where I felt like I could do that. And then once I did that, I thought, oh, now I can like teach people. So the person that I learned the most from, she said, as soon as you start teaching people, you think you're a really good stylist, but now you have to explain why you do everything and why you're doing it, what you're doing. And once you get to that point, you're just going to catapult yourself into a whole new category. And I was so nervous. I was like, oh my God, no, I can't. Like, I know what I'm doing, but I don't even know if it's the right way to do it or not. It just works for me. It's the way that I've kind of, taken all these pieces. Yeah, because you're not necessarily taking, if one stylist shows you one way, you don't say, okay, download, copy, paste. You kind of, you take what they do, mix it in with what you're already doing, and
photography.
Yeah, exactly. So you're just kind of pulling from different places. And I thought, this is such a melange of what I'm doing. Like, can I actually teach somebody this? And then I started getting into teaching, and then that just kind of, your authority in the space grows. And with brides as well, when they see, oh my gosh, she's also teaching other hairstylists how she does it, that just puts you in another category. Yeah, I would say really investing in education, showing up on social media, trying not to think too much about like what other people think of you. I've been lucky, other than the TikTok thing that really didn't name me, but I was still a part of a blast on TikTok. Nobody really reaches out to you, especially in the DMs, to completely berate you. Sometimes they'll have comments if you're posting like a controversial reel or something. There's definitely going to be comments, but for the most part, I feel like people don't share with you, hey, I hate your guts and I hate the content you're putting out there. They just unfollow you. So ignorance is bliss. Just keep going. And I doubt anybody is going to come for you for posting whatever you want to post.
And on the education side, is it something that's ongoing? You're still looking at, once a year or something to continue that?
It's interesting that you say that. Recently, I've thought about it. And I don't want this to come across as, oh my God, I'm so good, I don't need education. But I've just come to a point where I feel like I've learned from everybody that I really wanted to learn from. And now I rely more on myself. So I give myself time to be creative, to think outside the box, to not necessarily, to come up with new ways of doing things. I think that's more of my focus now, is to, I don't want to call it a retreat for myself, but I'll book models and I won't have any plan. I'll just kind of work away. Yeah, play around with it and come up with something new that now people want to learn from me. So yeah, I still get creative, but it's almost like I'm trying to teach myself, if that makes sense.
I think too, I've invested a lot in education as well. And I've learned from some of the best photographers in the field, I feel like. And what I found is that it's not that they are so much better or different than you, but it's just really like when you learn from them and you realize you're like, but I do that just as good. And after a while you're like, do I really need to some people need that, right? Like some people need to keep going and they need that reassurance and they need that like visual to do it and learn it, right? Like there's people like that. Where some, I think, and you and I are similar, is it's like once you do it, you're like, okay, I got it. I learned what I needed to learn from this person, and like I'm good. I'm not saying that I'll never want to go and do education. I think that there's value in that space, right? Especially if it's something you've never done before, or like for us, it's like a location thing. Like if somebody's like offering to do kind of like a styled shoot course, like I'm not going for the education, I'm going for the location
and the content you can take,
right? And so to me, I feel like the education piece is something that I think will be there, but you kind of have gotten what you need to, and now you're like in that next phase, if that makes sense.
I feel the same way, and it's funny you said sometimes you need them, because I actually did recently take an editorial styling class. I went to Toronto and I just thought, I'm so used to bridal. Bridal is very safe. It's, classic shapes. Like it's very, I don't want to say vanilla, but people aren't going out of the box on their wedding. Most people aren't going out of the box on their wedding day. And I thought, I just want to reignite something. And I want to take a course where it's something so out of my comfort zone. I try and make things look so smooth and pretty. And now I want to go the total opposite and get messy and learn how they do these things. You see, hair on the runway. I'm like, how did they do that? And so that was really interesting to me. And there were definitely things I can take from that and bring to bridal. But yeah, you always want to stay, like, be creative, like you said, and still invest here and there. But I do find this year, or I guess it was the end of 2023, the courses now that I'm taking are more on the business side, because I don't have any, I always say, I'm like, I have no business being in business because I have no idea how that all works. Marketing, all of that, I have zero knowledge. I just kept doing what felt right to me, and it's worked up until now. But I thought to myself, there's a reason why there's degrees at universities about, marketing and business.
Yeah.
Maybe I should learn a couple things. So that's kind of been more my focus going into the education, is not so much on the styling, but the other side of business.
Yeah, which is just important. I think that, there's a lot to learn. I mean, as entrepreneurs, we've literally put on 100 hats and we can do a lot of things, even though I feel like there's opportunity for us to not do them. But sometimes it's just like, get it done, right? Because that's just our energy, our personalities, and who we are. So.
Well, not only that, even if you hire somebody or you outsource something business-wise, how do you know they're doing a good job if you don't really know something about it, right? Like,
of course,
website stuff,
of
SEO,
course,
funnels, all that kind of stuff plays a huge part. And we talked about it in a previous podcast, where you could be the best at doing something, but if your marketing sucks, then
who's going to know?
Who's going to know? That's exactly it.
Yeah.
No, it's right. And in a lot of outsourcing, you still have to provide the info, you still have to give them everything. They're going to take that and run with it. But it's not like, okay, great, I hired somebody to do my bookkeeping, done. It's like, well, no, you still have to there's still effort involved, and it's not completely off your plate, but a lot of it is off of your plate, which is nice. Yeah, I know. I don't know if you know, but this year, my family has a nickname for me. They call me Janky. Yeah, because I'm always like, how can I do this? But in like, how can I save time or money? How can I, it's like, but I grew up with a dad who just, if something was broken, he would just fix it with the most unconventional materials, and all of a sudden be working again with like, who knows? It's everything is a little janky, and so it's genetic for me, but I've always had that, how hard can it be? I'll just do it on my own, no problem. I like figuring it out. Like, I love puzzles. I love trying to figure stuff out. So when I set up like my CRM, we can get into that later. I loved it because I was like, I love how this all works and all the pieces go together. And this year I told myself, I need to trust the professionals. Like, I'm spending way too much time trying to figure these things out when somebody can do it so much better than me. So my mantra for this year is 2024, janky no mo. So here we go. No more trying to do it on, I still have that like bit inside of me that still tries to do things on like a budget, but knowing when it's time to
spend.
Yeah. Leave it to the professionals.
I want to chat to you about pivots or maybe successes that you've had, just things that perhaps like you've made a decision in your business that really had a big impact. And I wanted to chat with you about that because I know of some specifically, but I don't know if everybody knows about them. And so can you chat with me, maybe 1, 2, maybe 3, if you have them, things that you've done in your business that you really think have made a huge impact, if you can think about them.
Well, the first one is going to lead up to the second one. So the first one was, when I went full time, I started working out of my house because I thought, I'm going to manage my overhead. It's amazing. Who doesn't love working from home? I absolutely hated it. Hated it. But I think what's different is we have a dog who sheds like crazy, and our bathroom that clients would use is like our everyday bathroom. So between those two things, and our kitchen is like really close. Everything was just so close that I felt like I couldn't cook anything because I didn't want the smell. I had to clean my bathroom like 100 times a day, vacuum all the time. I just felt like I was constantly cleaning, and it just didn't work out for me. So the first and best decision I made was Rebecca Rose Beauty. She called me up. It was July was when I started my business, was working from home. That November, she called me up out of the blue and she said, I have an opportunity to expand my square footage where I am, but it's way too big for what I need. Do you want to sublease off of me? And I thought, oh my gosh, because I had looked into commercial real estate. I thought, I'm going to open up my own studio. I just go full blown, like I'm a dreamer. And I thought, how much money can that be? And they're like, it's $12,000. And I was like, absolutely not. That's not happening. So I kind of gave up on the commercial space because I thought, wow, there's nothing. I just need a little postage stamp of space is all I need. Yeah. And you can't rent that commercially. So I kind of gave up on that. And it was like the next week that Rebecca called me out of the blue and just said, hey, this is an opportunity. And I thought, great, let me see the space. And it was a dungeon. We laugh about it now because she showed me this little corner and I thought it was industrial looking. There was green carpet. It was just a disaster.
I know what it looks like now. So
it's very different. And she kept saying, you just need to visualize. And I thought, girl, this is not what I had in mind. It was just this little, anyway, she just said, trust me. Once we get it all painted, once we get the floors, it'll look like a completely different space. And somehow I just said, okay, let's do it. So once I said yes to that, I felt so much stress lifted off of me about my home, and even just for me knowing, like, people knowing my address. I don't know, it just, because I had so many clients coming to the house, it just felt like, I don't know, you just never know. So it was a bit uneasy. As soon as I started there, I felt so much more legitimate. But not only that, when I started taking content, so all the photos that I started posting on my Instagram, the lighting was amazing, the background was perfect. It's the perfect space to take content. That's when I noticed my follower count just started going up and up and up, because yes, I had just come off my, self-planned tour, education tour. So I had learned a lot.
Yeah. But you didn't learn that.
I didn't learn that. So the quality of the work in the photos was way better, but also the quality of the actual photo was so much better. And when I started posting that on my grid, it started looking a lot more cohesive. The lighting was it wasn't that warm lighting that's usually in people's homes. And then it just took off. And you have the word of mouth. So now Rebecca's clients are asking, oh, is there hair? Yes. Now finally she has somebody who's in the space who's doing hair. Everybody else's clients who works out of the space. Like, it opened up so many doors for me, which is going to lead me into my second one, which is a pivot or a decision that we've made. Rebecca's a makeup artist. She and I have decided, so starting in this year, in 2024, we are exclusive. So we have a partnership that if brides are wanting to book us for their wedding day, they have to book both hair and makeup with us. I was saying to Luke earlier, it's been the best decision for us. First of all, our goal of getting more weddings in the studio so we don't have to travel as much. I'd say probably 50% of our weddings this year are in the studio, which is amazing. And I think it's great for brides. They don't have to organize, a hotel room, which you usually have to pay for 2 nights.
Yeah.
The catering is included, so you just literally show up with your wedding dress, your bridesmaids' dresses, your shoes, whatever
Robes,
you need.
Yeah.
Exactly. And then that's it. You just enjoy the space and you leave. That's been really great. And I was saying to Luke before that we've noticed that somehow we've attracted our ideal brides. Like, every bride who's booked with us, we are so excited to work with. It's like we've combined forces and now we have this super attractor power or something. Yeah. I don't know, but it's really worked to our benefit. And just even for us, it's so much easier, to work out. Our services go so hand in hand. We're always there at the same time on a wedding day. You just have to have that rapport. And it's not that I never wanted to work with any other, makeup artist ever again. Not like that at all. It just made sense for both of our businesses. Our goal of trying to travel a little bit less for weddings, and then just to be able to combine. And now our admin is all together. So it's like combining that, which I'm sure for you guys too, same thing. So now
that's our sell to people, is that it's you only deal with one vendor.
Exactly. And that's the same thing.
You get the same vision, you get the same admin, same contract, everything is like seamless. Delivery, email.
Exactly. Everything's seamless. And then we worry about everything together. Before, you'd have the bride had to be the middleman between the hairstylist and the makeup artist. Okay, this person, she's coming this time. She wants to do my makeup at this time. It's a lot of stress on the bride as well. And now they can just, be done with it. They can also book their trial on the same day. Like, you're just going to one location. So yeah, it's been really good. So
do you have photographers that come
Yes.
and do the prep there? Oh, that's interesting.
There's a little bridal suite.
Yeah.
So there's a little area for brides to get dressed in and to kind of have their photos taken. And then there's a whole area that, there's catering, so they can just kind of chill out. They kind of have use of that whole space, which is really nice.
Yeah, they have like this, I think it's like a little table area, essentially.
Yep.
And then it's kind of like this massive space. Like, it's, I would say, the same size of our studio over there, which is like at least 500 square feet. Plus then you have the bridal suite itself with like mirrors and a fireplace.
Yep, there's a fireplace.
And it's just like very cozy and and like it's all white, so it's very
very much your vibe. It's very light and bright and airy, yes. And there's nothing on the walls. There's no like photos on the walls,
That's right.
which a lot of hotel rooms you get there and you're like, this monstrosity.
Have you seen me? Have you seen me get down the photos?
Yes, and sometimes they're like not glued to the wall, but they're
bolted to the wall. Yeah.
I don't know if you were there, but I remember like, I don't want to say the hotel, but anyways, I like literally take the photo off. It's a massive photo, and I always take it off.
Well, you have to, otherwise it's such a pain to.
It's like bright orange too. Like it's the ugliest looking thing.
Yeah, I know, and I know for when hotels are setting up their rooms, they're not thinking about, oh, we need to make this nice for photographers, but it's just bad. I know. Yeah.
They just see a blank wall and go, let's fill that.
Exactly. And I literally, like, I know this is totally digressing, but I actually, when I have clients who book certain hotels, I tell them which area of the hotel to book, specifically at certain hotels, because I know I'm like, this room number or this block or whatever is good. Mm-hmm. Do not go to this one. They will upcharge you for like a suite, like with a golf view or something, but it's like a maroon and burgundy walls. Like, please do not book this room. Book the other side because it's gray. It's a little bit like more neutral. Mm-hmm. Anyways, maybe that's too much detail, but essentially it makes a big difference.
It does.
Right?
It really, really does.
I mean, even probably for like, I would say makeup. I mean, not hair so much, but for makeup, right? Like if it's like bouncing that light, I know she brings her own lights.
Yes, and most of the time we start in the dark because we start so early that it's pitch black. And then if you also have, the dark curtains, and a lot of hotel rooms, even though it looks like the curtains can open up all the way, they only go so far. So you only get a little sliver of sunlight when it does come out. And yeah, it can be really challenging. So where it's different in our studio is that all the lighting is it's set up for hair and makeup. So that's really nice. And I have to say too, I probably produce my best work when I'm there as opposed to packing up and going somewhere else because the chair's way too low. It's hard to find something that you can move up and down because everybody's torso is a different height. So even if you have a perfect height chair, it's not going to work for everybody. It doesn't move. There's just a lot of variables that, of course, we make it work. But if somebody were to ask me what my ideal setup is, it would be just don't even worry about it. Just come come to the studio.
So have you found that you've gotten like pushback? Like I'm just throwing like, and I know there's venues where it's like everything's on site. So do you find at those venues in particular that like people are not coming to your studio and then going there, right? Like,
No. We still travel. We still travel. Because yes, there are some venues that are so far away that offer a bridal suite that you can use the morning of. The only time where maybe we would suggest not doing that is if they have a large bridal party because there are entry limits.
Yeah, they only let you come in at 9 a.m.
Exactly.
Right?
So if it's not going to work, at least we have a backup plan if they don't want to go that way. Definitely no pushback. People will just pay the travel fee and we'll come out there and off we go.
Is there any other pivots or things that you feel like have really propelled you in building your business?
People will look and see like, oh my gosh, she has, 20,000+ followers, but it was such a slow process. I'd say from, it's been like over 2 years now that it just keeps going and going and going. So it's not that the consistency has to be there. It's not that one day you're going to wake up and, oh my God, this one person reshared my work. All of a sudden my inquiries are going to go through the roof. I don't think it's like that. And sometimes I think we live in a world where we want that instant gratification, that instant validation. We need that. And people don't necessarily want to put in the work that's going to take you, years to get to that point. But I would just say it's the consistency. It's just every day knowing that, okay, why am I doing this? Why is this my passion? Why do I want to work in the wedding industry? And then if you can just keep remembering that and why you're doing what you're doing, you'll just keep going.
It's so funny that you mentioned that because recently we've had some posts starting to go viral. We've gotten a few million views on some of our things, and it's like I feel like people don't realize that I have over 2,000 posts on my Instagram. Like if you put like you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the amount of time, the amount of effort, like those are, that's a lot of time and effort. It wasn't just like you said, it wasn't overnight, that we got like, oh my God, now we get 1 million views. That took years.
Yes. And you never know. Like Instagram's such a I'm sure TikTok's the same. It's such a random thing. People can talk about the algorithm. They can talk about this. Nobody knows. Everybody just kind of wings it. And the things that you think that the content you put out that you think this is going to be, to the top. This is going to make me this huge thing. It flops. And then things that you post because you're like, oh, this is funny, but I don't think anybody's going to like it. Goes viral. And so that's the whole consistency and knowing that some are going to be wins and some are going to be losses, and you just got to keep on keeping on.
One thing I wanted to mention, because I've seen it and I know because I've heard it personally, just from the couples that we've had that are mutual, and I wanted maybe you to chat a little bit more about it, is that people, it happens to us too, but people will kind of almost book their day or like chat to you before they even book their wedding. And I think that that's such maybe that was just like a pandemic thing, right? Like where people were just panic trying to find dates and stuff like that. But have you found that that's been the case a lot lately, or has that changed? Or I'm curious, like, where do you get most of your business? Is it from Instagram? Do you get a lot on Google? Chat with me a little bit about that.
Yeah, I think a lot of it comes from Instagram, because I think that they're looking at your grid, like a portfolio. What kind of styles does she do that I can see myself with this hairstyle? I think a lot of them are coming from Instagram. To be honest, I'm terrible. I don't even ask them how they've heard about me. I know.
Add that to your contact form.
Yeah, I know.
This is your business advice.
I know.
It's free.
I know. And here I am like, oh, I guess I'm assuming Instagram, because I get a lot of people first to reach out in the DM saying, I'm getting married on blah, 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 whatever day. And then I kind of politely, stream them over to the form for them to fill out. Do people really reach out and ask about the dates beforehand? Some people do. I don't know. I feel like it was a lot during the pandemic, and I think it was because it was like pandemonium, absolute mayhem. People were moving dates, and I think that was when I really wanted people to reach out and just check the date with me first before they booked something else. But I definitely have had people reach out and say, we haven't even booked our venue yet, but I just want to secure you. And I'm like, ooh, red flag. Like, what if you don't, because if you book with me for the day and then you decide, oh, the venue you really want, you can't have on that day. There definitely are some people, but it's not like every single person who comes into my inbox is like, I need you for the wedding. I don't think anyway. Maybe they're thinking that behind the scenes. I noticed a lot more during the pandemic.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. It was same for us. People were like asking us, like, before they even booked, or the venue would be like, here's our 3 dates that are available, and then they come to us.
Yes.
Kind of thing.
Yes.
I hope that I kind of liked that, because sometimes it's so disappointing when you have to turn people down, right? Like, how many times have you had to be like, I'm sorry, I'm booked?
Or people reaching out saying, oh, I'm getting married in Italy on this day. Do you want to come? And I'm like, yeah, I would if you would reached out, like 4 months ago. But now I have weddings booked. Like, maybe I'm available on your actual date, but on the either end, I can't. So that's probably the one that really disappoints me, because I'm like, that would be really cool to be a part of that. Speaking of somebody wanting to book you and reaching out, I had once, this was last year, a fiance reach out to me. He had not proposed yet. And he said, my girlfriend has told me, I had done her hair in a wedding as a bridesmaid, I think maybe a year or two before. And he said, all she says is that whenever we get married, we are choosing our date around your schedule. So can I know, like, I'm going to propose, and he was proposing in like January, and they wanted to get married in 2023. And I thought, dream on, but who am I to spread that? So he said, what is your availability? Anyway, so I gave him what I was available, and they wanted, it had to be a Saturday, and it had to be in September, of course. And I said, unfortunately, I'm not available for any of those Saturdays. I'm available on Sundays and on Fridays, but not that day. Anyway, fast forward to, he did propose to her. It was just so important to them to have the Saturday in September, and they found a venue that could accommodate them on such short notice. And so I did not end up doing her hair, but she was so disappointed. We went, so whenever she got proposed to, she said to him, oh my God, I need to reach out to Kira. And he said, I already did, and she's not available on the Saturdays in September. And she's like, what? And we tried everything. I thought maybe I could go before the wedding that I already have. Maybe I could just do the bride. And that's where it's really tough. You can't book more than one wedding a day. It just doesn't work. For the most part, I shouldn't say never, but for the most part, it never works out.
So is there plans? I'm curious. Is there plans for you to add another Pärla to the
Oh my
to
God,
the mix?
a baby Pärla? Oh my gosh. I've often thought about it. It's not a dream of mine to have a team. I just worry about what if I'm booked and then, things happen, life happens.
Yeah.
Baby Pärla can't go to the wedding and I'm responsible. Like I feel confident in putting all of the ownership on myself. But then now I'm responsible for somebody else and it's my name, my business. And I don't know.
What about, because I know you're close with Rebecca. Yes. She does this.
She does
successfully.
Yes.
And I'm sure you get to hear all of the woes that come with that, right? Like, because let's be honest,
She honestly has such a great team and she's built it so slowly and and she used to work at MAC. So a lot of the makeup artists that work with her, she's worked with before. So she's vetted that, like, she knows them, they're friends. And so it works. And almost all the people on her team do have a full-time job outside of makeup.
Okay.
So again, it's a nice supplement to them, but it's not, taking up all of their lives. And so they can dedicate their weekends to Rebecca. Yeah, it gets tough because you would want somebody who was going to be available for you every weekend in case you had, you needed to use them. But what if you don't have a wedding for them? And then they obviously need to make money.
But what if it was somebody who like had a full time? Maybe they worked in a salon, but they wanted to do bridal hair.
I am so open to it. Okay. It would just have to be
the right person.
Yeah. And somebody who had a very similar, like when I go on a wedding day, I'm chatty now, but on the wedding day, I do not talk.
Oh, I know.
I know.
I come in and I'm like, hi, how's it going? You're like,
I'm like, do not talk to me. Yeah, I know.
Because it's crunch time.
It is. It's crunch time, and I'm always in my head. I'm always thinking to myself, if I do this, do I put this here? Ooh, what does that look like? Like I'm always in my head. I cannot talk and work at the same time.
I always come early too.
I know. And then I'm like, she's already here. She's not supposed to be here for like 30 minutes. Panic ensues.
But I try to announce it. Okay, yes. I know I'm early. I'm early, but I'm just here. Okay, and then you're like,
I know.
I thought we were saying that just so we didn't freak out the wedding party, but
no, it's
vendors.
yes.
Yeah.
No, honestly,
it's for them too, because of course they're thinking, oh my gosh, the photographer's already here, and I'm supposed to be done 30 minutes before they get here, and I'm not. Like,
yeah, it definitely does play and I think now I'm a lot more like confident. I think because I know most of the photographers that are coming that I can please beg for forgiveness. Like, I'm so sorry.
I guess you worked in the salon too, right? So you got to see that. I feel like. I mean, I've had my hair done lots, and it's a bit of a therapy session, right? We get to chat and whatever, but it's different on a wedding day.
It's
right?
very different on a wedding day because yes, you have a schedule in the salon, but if you're over, it's a bit more relaxed, and then you have assistants. If let's say your highlights are done, and I went over, I need to start with this person. The assistant can come in, wash your hair and.
Yeah, tone it or whatever.
Exactly. There's a lot more help. On the wedding day, it's just crunch time. It feels like the Super Bowl of hairstyling that you really need to, be on track. All that to say, I'm open to it, but it would have to be the perfect fit for me.
I feel like that's the next thing for you. I don't know. I'm predicting it. I'm calling it.
Oh my God, here we go.
Calling it. I got vibes. Yeah. I don't know. I think it's coming for you. I don't know if you'll see it coming, but I feel like it's just something that I can really see that happening for you. I don't know why. I just really do see it, especially because you're doing the education piece. Mm-hmm. Like, somebody's going to come to you, they're going to want to learn from you, they're going to want to do this, and I think that you offer like so much value in that perspective. I think that somebody that comes to you would be like over the moon to be able to do what you do.
I would love that, and I haven't put it out there officially because I also don't know. I guess part of it is a fear of crickets. You say, I would love to have somebody to come knocking at my door, and then you think I'm going to be flooded with DMs, and then you look and you have nobody. So maybe that's why I haven't really put it out there, but yeah, I would love it, and I'm open to it. I'm very open to it. So I'll put it there.
It's all right, no pressure.
No, oh my God, I don't feel pressure at all. But yeah, I would be lying if I said I didn't think about it, but I guess it hasn't come up organically, so I just haven't really put a lot of effort into finding somebody.
I never really thought about it like that. I thought every hair and makeup had teams that covered multiple days. I know. Well, obviously I learned that.
Here we go. You're like,
Yeah. So
This is more about Luke learning.
yeah. Oh my God, I love it. I can instill, yes.
it's okay.
Yes.
Other people might learn as well. A lot of the fiancés on the other side need
Yes.
to know. On that note, how many bridesmaids can you fit in the morning of a wedding day if you're only doing it yourself?
My sweet spot is like 6. So the bride plus 5 is like my sweet spot. It all depends on what time they need to be ready by. If there's 4 people, but they need to be ready by 11, like that can be a bit of a crunch time. I'd say, yeah, around 6. Anything more than 6, I'll usually bring on a second person. And where I struggle is brides just think that there's this tree outside my bedroom window that has all these hairstylists on it waiting in the wings to help me with any party I have. And that's really not the case. It's colleagues that I have that I know, other stylists who have their own bridal hairstyling businesses that I'll call on and say, these are the dates I need somebody. I'm saying, Hail Mary, are you still available? Can you help me? And so that's really what I've done up until this point. And then if it's something that I think I can't really accommodate all of these people, I will just say to the bride, I can do 5, and then you can more than happy to, exactly, find somebody else to do the others. That would be my biggest piece of advice for new hairstylists starting out, because it can be a lot of stress if you don't have that network yet of people that you can count on, because I think that's the biggest piece, knowing that they're going to show up the day that you need them.
I never had any issues with hair until this year, where it happened 3 times. I had 3, I'm sure I even messaged you being like, are you available?
Yes, you did that one time. Yes, you did. You did.
But yeah, like that, having that community is so important. I didn't even realize that the hairstylist community existed, right? I didn't know.
Yes. Well, because I think historically it's been such a catty industry, and when you work in a salon, if let's say you took a week off and then Joey's client came to you whatever, that it was this territorial thing over their clients, and you cannot have who I've built and I have in my circle. So I think, yeah, historically it's very much like that, but somehow in the bridal world, I feel like there's some people I haven't met before because we never worked the same wedding together. I've met all the hairstylists, and then Rebecca will say, oh my God, I've met the makeup artist, and then she's met all the hairstylists. So some people I don't know, but for the ones I have in my circle that have helped me a lot, it's been such a pleasure. And it's kind of like, if you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. If I get a bride that reaches out that, I'm not available for, here's your their contact information. I would love for you to, have that kind of business.
Do you have any tips or tricks that you would give to any aspiring hairstylist wanting to do the same thing that you're doing?
Yes, I actually do have a couple tips. And the first one would be, and I've said this before, walk before you run. I think we put too much pressure on ourselves, especially when you first start out in this industry. It's hard. The wedding industry is its own beast. It's its own, like you said, in 2020, you had no idea who I was, which fair enough. Nobody knew who I was. I came out of nowhere and was just on the scene and, was putting myself in styled shoots and doing all the things. But it takes time to get to that level that you probably want to be at. So walk before you run, say yes to every opportunity. When I say that, I don't mean every single bride if you feel like it's not going to be a right fit, but styled shoots is amazing because you're going to get connected with other vendors. You're going to start building that relationship, because on a wedding day, you can't get the same conversation. You can't get to know them, make those connections, because that's going to be a source of referrals for you. And you put so much pressure on yourself to make money if you just, leave the salon, or you're just finishing hair school and you think, I am going to go into bridal hairstyling. I'm going all in. While I love the enthusiasm and I love the energy, I think it's easy to get caught up, and then, you're going to be on a high because you're going to book a wedding, and then you're not going to book a wedding. And then, it's too volatile at the beginning. So, start it on the side. I think there's no shame in that. I don't think that there should be any shame with people in any industry starting off as a side hustle and then building that momentum and then bringing it up into something full time. Because it can be really overwhelming, and it's seasons. You'll have a big cash influx during wedding season, and then you need to budget if you're not, there's so many things that go into it that you're going to be on cloud 9 in the summer, spending money left and right, and then it's going to be a slow season, and that's where it's going to be devastating. So you need to figure all that out beforehand. So yeah, definitely walk before you run. I've said it already. invest in the education. Wherever you feel like you need that confidence, if there's something that you get asked to do and in the pit of your stomach, you feel like you're going to have diarrhea and you think, glam waves is a big one where a lot of people, they struggle with that. I caught myself so many times the night before a wedding, frantically on YouTube. I would say no to every plan that anybody ever floated saying, hey, you want to go out on, and if it was the night before a wedding, absolutely not. I was binge watching YouTube trying to figure out how to do the things and how to somehow cram the night before and think that was enough. That's all I needed to be able to produce this amazing work the next day. Again, delusional, but
been there.
Yeah, it's just, investing in that education is something that's really going to, of course, you can't just take a course and then wake up the next day and think, I know exactly what I'm doing. You have to put in the work. You have to practice.
Yeah.
You're going to do a lot of stuff for free at the beginning, not necessarily people reaching out. You're the instigator of the free work because you need to get that practice in. I think that's like the biggest thing. And yeah, don't sleep on Instagram or TikTok. I hear TikTok's, all the rage now, so people...
Yeah, you're not going to join?
So here's the thing. I have an account, but I never go on it. I never post. I don't know. It's just... Never say never.
Yeah.
Never say never. I should. I really should. But I feel like it's such a beast. It's a little different on that platform, and I think I need to first figure out how it works, or hire somebody and I just give them the content and say, please post on my account.
I think you would do well on it because I think that you're very authentic, and I think that you could be even more on TikTok. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Where you can just be you're very what is it, janky no more?
Yeah.
That jankiness can be full on display without worrying about a perfect grid, if that makes sense.
Okay.
And also, I feel like we just interviewed couples. So I don't know if you saw, but Erica and I went around and we interviewed couples at a wedding show recently.
Yes.
And one of the things they said is that they get a lot of their inspiration on TikTok.
Oh, okay.
Not to push you, but here's some more business advice.
Yes, okay, thank you. I'm going to take it into consideration.
So Janky No Mo hits TikTok.
Okay, here we go. I still have time. Oh my gosh. No, I should.
Even as we evolve, we are probably from the same generation where Instagram was the big thing, and now the next generation, as much as we are getting older, the people getting married are still around the same gap, right? So they're now the people that grew up with TikTok and Snapchat and all of those things. So we need to get with the times, or else we're gonna...
It's kind of like Facebook.
Yeah. I was just going to say, I was like, this is all making sense to me. Now people are like, oh my gosh, I'm not a boomer, obviously, but a millennial, I think is what it is.
Yeah, we're millennials.
Yeah. That, Gen Zs are saying that Instagram is
dead
to us, the Facebook, to what we see our parents. And I'm like, oh, okay.
I know.
I've just built a business on Instagram and now I'm kidding. That will keep living on, but I think I know. I need to do the TikTok.
And I think you can even just start with what you already have. If you still have them, you could just literally repost them, if you've already created them. And yeah, like I said, I think it just gives you, I feel like it's a place where you can just be a little bit more
true,
uncurated a little. You can be very curated and do that style as well. Yeah. But I think for what you do in that very authentic way, I think that it would be a really cool platform for you to explore and maybe do it a little bit different. You can be like, I'm janky on TikTok, but I'm professional on Instagram.
I know. I still let my jankiness show a little bit, and actually somebody called me out on it once. Because I'm doing a class in Toronto at the end of March, and I didn't realize that Easter weekend, when I said, this is the weekend we're doing it, I didn't realize it was over Easter weekend. And somebody responded saying, did you know this? All they said was, did you know this was Easter weekend? And I was like, oh, coming for me. And I said, no, I didn't realize it. Whoops, I'm going to have to make it a different weekend because I know lots of people celebrate Easter. And she's like, how janky of you. And I was like, she came for my neck. She came for me. And then she signed up for the class. So I was like, it's all good.
She's like, well.
Make sure you point her out.
Be like, you now named the janky one.
Yeah. I was like, everybody, this is janky number 2.
I love that. I think those little quirks and stuff is really what gets people, it's funny that you say that, but that's what people relate to.
I know.
People relate to you just being your jankiest. So.
I know. Oh my gosh, no, it's true. And I do it all the time. I'm trying to think of my most recent thing that I had to stop myself and say, this is for, actually no, because I still did it. Okay, here's the thing. I have a branding shoot coming up on Friday, and my idea was to get custom wine labels because I wanted to make champagne or Prosecco bottles with a logo on it. And so it was on Vistaprint or Canva or wherever, and I designed the label, and I thought, I'm going to print these. I'm going to go the right way. I'm going to print them as they're meant to be printed. And I get to the checkout, and it was like $75 for 10 wine labels. And I thought, yeah, right. I'm not doing that. So then I was like, can I print it off a piece of paper and like glue it on? But then I thought that's just a bit too DIY. Like I can't do that. And then I remembered that I have a Dymo label printer that is a 4x6 shipping label. Luckily, the logo that I wanted to print is black and white, so I'm good because it only prints black and white. And I was like, this is perfect. It's already on a sticker. I already own it. I can figure out how to get it to print from Canva onto this label. And I did it, and I'm just so proud of myself. And I feel like, I was like, anybody else want a wine label? Like, shipping labels, wine labels.
So
well, yeah,
it cost you nothing.
Cost me nothing. And I had a few bad prints at the beginning because I was trying to fit it like a little bit bigger, and then it was too big and not big enough. So yeah, there was about 10 that I wasted, but that's okay. In the grand scheme of things, it's less than 60 or 70. It was like $75. I can't fully let go of my janky side, but I make it work.
Well, back to the tips section, I was just wondering, out of all the education that you've taken, what has been the one that has helped you the most?
I would stick to the tutorial side of things. So whether you're going in person. So for me, my mentor back in 2020, I mean, still to this day, her name is Cara Klein. She's based in Australia. I signed up for her course, in 2020. It was all online. And that was where I noticed such a difference in my work. And I would say to anybody, like, you find that person that you look up to the most if they have any sort of education, be it online. In person is probably the best, but if you can't make it there, online education that you can get your hands on, and there's a lot of it. But every stylist has a different style. So you find somebody who you resonate with the most. If there's somebody who has a style that you aspire to, or one that you really enjoy, or that you want to do more of that style, or the way that they do it seems the most like you. I said that in like 100 ways, but you find somebody that you really look up to and then see what kind of options they have available. Do a very shameless plug. I feel like RuPaul right now, like plugging my products, but I am coming up. So I filmed a new bundle. So this is going to be the 2024 bridal hair trends, what I'm predicting. And I filmed 6 tutorials. It's going to be part of a bundle that I'm going to have available hopefully by the end of April. We'll see how it goes, but that's going to be available online, of course. And then the one that I'm really looking forward to, because I feel like a lot of hairstylists, bridal stylists, are very creative first, business totally second, if anything. And what I've learned from a lot of people is that they don't have any systems in place. Like the back end of their business is just an email address. Anybody will inquire in their inbox. Like there's no process, there's no client journey. They have no email templates. They have no contract templates. They don't invoice people. They accept cash on the wedding date. Like all these things that are so ad hoc and not connected. So I wanted to come up with something that could really help stylists behind the scenes kind of take so much, or give them so much time back. So I have a course coming out called Behind the Business. It's gonna be a live course. It's gonna be 6 weeks long, all virtual, so all online, but there's gonna be 3 live calls, and then 3 weeks will be kind of pre-recorded, dripped content. But essentially it's just created to help bridal hairstylists set up the back end of their business so that when they go into wedding season, they're not feeling overwhelmed by how many emails they have, starting from scratch with every single email, not feeling confident in their contract. Maybe they don't even have a contract, things like that. So yeah, I'm really excited about that. Find something, like figure out your pain point, find somebody who does it better than you or what you want to do, and then see what they have available.
Okay, I know that you've already touched upon this course where you're going to hopefully teach people about, how to run their business properly. So I love how this segued for us. But is there any tools that you would say that have been, maybe it's not even like, the behind the scenes of the business, maybe there's certain products that you use, etc. Talk to me about some of your favorite things that you use and are obsessed with.
Yes. Okay. First, on the styling side, I have a styling belt that people ask me about all the time on Instagram if I'm ever wearing it, which I'm always wearing it when I'm doing a wedding or working in the studio. And it's from a company called Up Hair, and I'll spell that. It's UPHAYR on Instagram _hair. Oh my God, let me start that over. It's, Up Hair, UPHAYR _shop. And they make this vegan leather styling belt. And if I didn't have that, I don't know what I would be doing. I I'm assuming other people just put stuff in their pockets or between their legs or in their mouth or something, like under their armpit as they're styling. And it's professional. It's so efficient. It is obviously super comfortable. Black is great for stylists. So that is one thing I could not live without. And I have absolutely no share in the company. Like I just truly love it.
So it's like a utility belt that you can...
Exactly, yes. And people are always like, I love your tool belt. And I was like, oh, thanks. Yeah, it's Lifesaver. I have 2 of them now, just for one for at my studio, one in my kit. I never forget it. And then a tool on my business side, I used Dubsado, which is like a CRM. There's Honeybook, there's all the different ones. I don't know what I would do in my business if I didn't use Dubsado. It is like my saving grace. But there's also, I have like a Google Workspace, which I'm sure everybody does. And there's so many different Google products that are so great, like Google Keep for notes. That's where I put all of so for every wedding, every bride has a keep note, and that's like all the details at a glance. So once we've confirmed everything before the wedding, it's like the location. If, let's say they're getting ready at their grandparents' house and they don't want me to park in the driveway, or they do want me to park in the driveway, there's like parking instructions. Basically everything I would need to know, I can look at the night before a wedding. It's all there. I don't have to try and go into Dubsado, open their project. It gets a bit more cumbersome that way. So there's lots of Google products that I really like. And for people who don't want to invest in a CRM, you can do all the things manually, but you can do all the things in a Google Workspace as well, and have access to it and be Apple or iPhone or Android. Like you don't need a certain phone to do that or product to be able to do that. Yeah, I would say those are probably my top 2. Yeah, favorite things.
I thought for sure you were going to say hairbrush or something. But
oh my gosh. Well, there is a brush that I bought, but I feel like this is so... I bought it when people, like one time I almost forgot it at a wedding, and I was so nervous because the brush cost me like $400. And when people look at it, they're like, this just looks like a regular brush that you brush your hair with. It doesn't look like anything crazy. And it's such a nice brush. I love it so much. But even when I think about it, obviously I bought it in the middle of a wedding season where I was like, I've got so much money in my bank account. What can I blow on? It's an operating expense. I can write it off. I just write it off. So I bought it. I love it, but it's like crazy expensive. But I wouldn't say that I couldn't live without it. I could make do with other things. I have other brushes that I bought that are cheaper that will work. They're not better than, but they'll work. Yeah, I know.
How can a brush be better?
Oh my, I know.
That's why I was like, brace yourself, babe.
I know.
It's got bristles.
I know, but the bristles are different. You can, there's so many things that go into the composition of a hairbrush or a comb too, and the spacing of the teeth, and if the carbon, if your comb's not made of, like if it's a non-carbon, it's just plastic, it could melt. So when it's around your hot tools, and then also a carbon comb is anti-static, which is also very important when it comes to the styling process. So I could teach you a whole lesson about hairbrushes, but
scientifically, the brush can be superior to other brushes.
Exactly.
Now it makes sense.
And the ergonomics of it all too, like the handle and all that. But yeah, the different materials that are the brush is made of.
That makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense now.
All right. Last but not least, this has been amazing, but thank you for being our first in-person guest. This is really fun. Yeah. I'm so excited. We have a couple more booked in, so I'm excited to you are the first though.
Oh my gosh. I'm so honored.
We would love how can people find you? How can they follow you? What are all the things?
All the things. So on Instagram, I am Pärla, Parla.hair. Hair. My website is parlahair.ca. I think that's the 2 ways people can follow me and follow along.
Thanks so much for being on here.
Thank you. Honestly, it's been so much fun. The time has just flown by.
I know, right? Yeah, it has.